Hi, welcome. Enjoy the content, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Kevin was in the law office, sitting in a leather chair that felt far too cold for the moment. On the mahogany table in front of him lay 3 printed copies of a photographic report. He glanced at his watch. 15 minutes to 2. Vanessa would arrive in 15 minutes, as stated in the text he'd sent earlier. We need to talk. My lawyer will be present. Her reply had come instantly, almost desperate. Kevin, please, I can explain everything. But explanations no longer mattered. Not after 3 months of watching, taking notes, and documenting every false move. The marriage had lasted 13 years. 13 years of shared dinners, joint vacations, arguments over which sofa matched the living room better. Kevin, a 41-year-old architect, had built his firm from the ground up, turning sketches into buildings and dreams into million-dollar contracts. Vanessa, a 39-year-old corporate lawyer, had always been his intellectual partner, the one who understood the pressure of impossible deadlines and demanding clients. To friends and family, they were the couple that worked. He designed buildings, she structured contracts. A perfect blend of creativity and logic. 3 months earlier, Kevin noticed the first crack in that perfect facade. Vanessa started coming home late, always with plausible excuses, meetings running over, difficult clients, impossible traffic. She smiled more at her phone than at him. The messages she used to read aloud were now kept in silence. Kevin wasn't the paranoid type, but he had a trained eye for details. Architects live by noticing what's out of place, the line that doesn't close, the angle that doesn't make sense. It was on a Tuesday that suspicion turned into visceral certainty. Vanessa announced she'd be going out for dinner with her college friends, something that happened maybe twice a year. Kevin nodded, wished her a good night, and returned to the projects scattered across the dining table. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. 2 a.m. He called. Voicemail. Sent a text. Read receipt, no reply. At 3:30 a.m., when anger had already given way to something colder and more calculated, he made a decision. The next morning, Vanessa appeared with dark circles under her eyes and a tired smile. We ended up at Melissa's place. I drank too much, slept on her couch. Sorry I didn't call, my phone died. Kevin made coffee, served toast, kissed her forehead. It's okay, love. Glad you had fun. But while she went upstairs to shower, he was already on his phone searching for private investigators, reviews, guarantees of discretion. He hired Richard Bowen the following Monday. A discreet man in his mid-50s, with 3 decades of experience and impeccable references. I don't want drama, Kevin made clear. I want facts. Dates, times, photos. Everything documented. Richard nodded professionally. Perfectly understood. I'll need some basic information. Kevin provided it: Vanessa's car license plate, regular routes, work hours, colleagues' names. For 3 weeks, nothing surfaced. Richard sent encrypted email reports. Day 14, left office at 6:47 p.m., arrived home at 7:23 p.m. normal route. Day 15, lunch with female colleague at Italian restaurant, returned to work. No irregularities. Kevin began wondering if he was being ridiculous, if he was destroying their marital trust over mere insecurity. Then came the email that changed everything. Day 22, irregularity detected. See attachments. Kevin opened the files with slightly trembling hands. Photo 1, Vanessa leaving the office at 5:30 p.m., an hour earlier than usual. Photo 2, her car parked in front of a boutique hotel downtown. Photo 3, taken with a telephoto lens, Vanessa entering the lobby. Photo 4, 5 minutes later, a man joining her. Kevin zoomed in. The face became clear. His stomach dropped. It was Colin. Colin Decker, Kevin's minority partner at the firm. The guy he'd brought into the business 2 years ago during the company's expansion. The same Colin who dined at their house, shared inside jokes, and whom Kevin considered almost a younger brother. 34 years old, ambitious, charming in a way Kevin had always thought harmless, until that moment. The photos kept coming. Photo 5, both entering the elevator. Richard's report included details gathered through in-person observation. Richard identified Colin's hotel reservation through on-site observation and information obtained at the location, consistent with visual confirmation of the couple. Frequency detected, every Thursday for the past 5 weeks. Kevin didn't sleep that night. He sat in his home office, staring at the photos, feeling something between nausea and a cold clarity he'd never experienced before. Vanessa arrived at 10:15 p.m., cheerful, talking about a tough case that had finally been resolved. Kevin listened, nodded in the right places, asked the appropriate questions. When she went upstairs to bed, he returned to his computer and typed to Richard, "Continue. I want everything." The following weeks became a masterclass in duplicity. Kevin maintained the routine, breakfast together, goodbye kisses, questions about each other's day. Meanwhile, the dossier grew. Richard was meticulous. He analyzed joint credit card statements, something Kevin had legitimate access to, and identified a recurring spending pattern on Thursdays. Charges at expensive restaurants every Thursday, always at the same time. Flowers purchased from a florist Kevin had never visited. A boutique jewelry store where Vanessa had bought gold handcuffs. Kevin checked, he'd never received any such gift. But the most devastating discovery came when Kevin decided to review the firm's internal files. Something Richard mentioned kept bothering him. "Your partner has been making frequent calls to an accounting firm not listed in the company's records." With full system access, Kevin started digging. He found emails between Colin and an external accountant discussing corporate restructuring and acquisition of majority ownership. There were mentions of strategic pressure and an emotional window of opportunity. Kevin read it all 3 times to be sure he understood. Colin and Vanessa weren't just having an affair. They were planning to force him to sell his stake in the firm. Their scheme was clever and cruel, used the emotional toll of divorce to pressure him into quickly liquidating assets, offering a price far below market value. Colin would buy Kevin's share, consolidating majority control. Vanessa, as a lawyer, would structure the divorce to ensure Kevin needed immediate cash for the property settlement. The betrayal wasn't just marital, it was professional, financial, calculated. Kevin printed everything, organized it chronologically, and created an executive summary. Then he called Daniel Ortega, the city's best divorce attorney, known for being relentless. "I need an urgent consultation. I have evidence. A lot of evidence." At the meeting with Daniel, Kevin presented the full material. The lawyer, a 50-year-old man with gray hair and a piercing gaze, flipped through the dossier with increasing seriousness. "This is gold," he finally said. "Not only do you have clear evidence of adultery, which already simplifies the divorce, but you also have proof of conspiracy to commit business fraud. We can use this to fully protect your assets and possibly remove your partner from the company." Daniel paused. "But I need to ask, do you want justice or revenge?" Kevin thought for a long moment. "I want them to understand they underestimated the wrong person. I don't want violence. I don't want unnecessary public drama. I want them to lose what they tried to take from me." Daniel smiled, the smile of someone who'd already won dozens of similar cases. "Then we'll do it the right way. Surgical, legal, definitive." That's how Kevin found himself, 2 weeks later, sitting in that law office, waiting for Vanessa to arrive. Daniel sat beside him, reviewing documents. "Remember," the lawyer said, "stay calm. Let the evidence speak. You don't need to shout. You've already won." The door opened. Vanessa walked in, eyes red, face tense. She wore the navy blue suit Kevin had always said looked great on her. Kevin, she began, voice trembling, please, let me explain. I made a terrible mistake, but... Sit down, Kevin interrupted, his voice neutral. Vanessa obeyed, glancing nervously at Daniel. Who's he? Daniel Ortega, my divorce attorney, Kevin replied, watching the color drain from her face. I thought it appropriate to have legal representation present for this conversation. Vanessa swallowed hard. Kevin, I know it looks bad, but you don't understand the full context. I was confused. Colin was, he was very persistent, and I was vulnerable, and... Kevin slid the first folder across the table. Open it. With shaking hands, Vanessa opened it. The first photo showed her and Colin entering the hotel. She went pale. Kevin, I... Keep flipping. Vanessa turned the pages. More photos. Bank statements with yellow highlights. Receipts for gifts. Recovered text messages and screenshots provided by sources who tracked Vanessa's routine. One message in particular was highlighted, Vanessa, when do you think he'll give in and sell? Colin, after you file for divorce. He'll be so devastated he'll accept any offer just to get it over with quickly. All the blood vanished from Vanessa's face. She looked at Kevin, eyes wide. I can explain this. It's not what it looks like. Kevin leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. It's not what it looks like. So you're not planning to destroy me emotionally to steal my company? Interesting interpretation. Vanessa tried to regain composure, her lawyer instincts kicking in. These messages are out of context. And how did you even get this? It might be illegal. Everything was obtained through verifiable sources and documented thoroughly enough for courtroom use, Daniel said firmly. Your attorneys can review each item at their leisure. And before you play the privacy card, remember, you used your joint credit card to fund your affair. Technically, your husband had every right to investigate shared funds. Kevin watched Vanessa process it all. He knew that look, she was calculating, looking for exits, building defenses. But this time, there were none. You know what impresses me most? Kevin said, his voice low but steady. It's not the betrayal. Betrayals happen, people make mistakes. It's the premeditation. It's the fact that you and Colin dined at our house, laughed at my jokes, pretended friendship while plotting to financially destroy me. Tears began streaming down Vanessa's face. Kevin, I love you. I know I made a horrible mistake, but we can fix this. We can go to couples therapy. I'll end things with Colin immediately, You've already ended things with Colin, Kevin said. Because he's being removed from the company. I've already spoken to the other investors. I showed them proof of the conspiracy. An emergency meeting was urgently called. The investors reviewed the material and unanimously agreed to start the removal process. He'll also face legal action for attempted business fraud. Vanessa stood speechless. You've already done all this? I have. While you two were planning to destroy me, I built a solid, legal, and irrefutable case. Kevin slid another folder. These are the divorce papers. They're already filled out. I'm requesting full separation of assets, with you keeping only what you brought into the marriage. Given that you used marital funds to support your affair and conspired against my financial interests, my attorney believes this will be easily approved. Vanessa stared at the documents as if they were venomous snakes. You can't do this. I have rights. We built this life together. You relinquished those rights when you chose to destroy this life, Kevin replied. And before you argue that you deserve compensation for our years together, remember, I have proof you planned fraud. Daniel can turn this into a criminal case if necessary. Daniel leaned forward, eyes locked on Vanessa. Ms. Kane, I'll be direct. Your husband is being generous. He could drag this out publicly, involve the bar association given your role as an attorney in a fraud conspiracy, and destroy your professional reputation. He's offering a clean exit, divorce without public blame, your career intact, walking away with what you brought in. I strongly suggest you accept. Vanessa looked between Kevin and Daniel, reality finally setting in. Colin said, he said it would be easy. That you'd accept any deal just to move on quickly. Kevin felt a pang, not exactly satisfaction, but bitter validation. He didn't know me as well as he thought. Neither of you did. He stood up. You have 48 hours to review the documents and sign. After that, my attorneys will escalate. Your choice. Vanessa remained seated, staring at the folders on the table, silent tears falling. Kevin, what we had was real. At the beginning, it was real. Kevin stopped at the door. Maybe it was. But you chose to destroy what was real for something rotten from the start. He looked at her one last time. You know what hurts me most? It's not losing you. It's realizing I wasted years with someone I never truly knew. In the months that followed, everything unfolded with brutal efficiency. Vanessa signed the papers. Colin tried to sue for defamation, but Kevin's attorneys presented the evidence to the judge in a private session. The case was dismissed in 2 days. Colin not only lost his stake in the firm but also faced an investigation by the accountants board for his role in the scheme. Kevin threw himself into work. The firm, now under his sole control, closed 3 major contracts in 4 months. He promoted a young, talented architect named Elena to Colin's former position. Elena had no hidden agendas. Elena respected the work. It was refreshing. 6 months after the divorce, Kevin was at an architecture event when he spotted Vanessa across the room. She looked noticeably different, thinner, her face harder. She was with a man Kevin didn't recognize, not Colin, someone older, less polished. Vanessa saw him too. For a moment, their eyes met. Kevin gave a slight, polite, distant nod and returned to his conversation with Elena about the new cultural center project. There was no anger. No bitterness. Just indifference. The realization that Vanessa was now merely someone he'd once known, in another life. Vanessa approached while Elena went to get drinks. Hi, Kevin. Vanessa, he replied, neutral. You look good. How's the company doing? It is. Better than ever, actually. It wasn't cruelty. Just truth. Vanessa bit her lip. I heard Colin's working freelance now. No firm, no investors. It's hard for him. Kevin felt no satisfaction at the news. Just a void where something used to be. Actions have consequences. Kevin, I'm truly sorry. For what we did. For what I did. Her voice was small, genuine. I destroyed the best thing I had. Kevin looked at her, really looked. He saw regret, yes, but also someone who'd made choices knowing exactly what she was doing. I believe you're sorry. But that doesn't change anything. You didn't destroy the best thing you had. You revealed who you really were. And I'm grateful for that. Because now I can build something real, with no rotten foundation. Elena returned with the drinks. Kevin introduced them. Elena, this is Vanessa, my ex-wife. Vanessa, Elena, my partner and right hand at the firm. There was no malice in his tone. Just introduction. Vanessa got the message. She nodded to both and walked away, shoulders slightly slumped. Later that night, Kevin stood on the balcony of his new apartment, smaller than the house, but authentically his, watching the city lights below. 13 years of marriage evaporated in 3 months of investigation and 2 months of legal paperwork. He should have felt more, he thought. Anger, maybe. Deep sadness. But there was only the feeling of a closed chapter. His phone buzzed. A message from Elena: "Thank you for trusting me with the partnership. I won't let you down." Kevin smiled. Maybe that was it. It wasn't about Vanessa paying for what she'd done. It was about Kevin rebuilding with people who deserved his trust. He replied, "I know you won't. See you Monday to review the hospital project." The city sparkled below, full of possibilities. Kevin finished his coffee, feeling the cool night air. 13 years hadn't been wasted, he realized. They'd been a lesson. A costly, painful, but necessary lesson. He'd learned that trust isn't naivety, that love doesn't justify blindness, and that sometimes the greatest strength is simply letting go. And for the first time in months, Kevin felt light. Not happy yet, but light. And that was enough. It was a beginning. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next time.